The thalamus is the largest part of the diencephalon. It sits near the center of the brain between the cerebral cortex and the midbrain. It consists of two bulb-shaped halves, which look a bit like two eggs. In humans, each half of the thalamus is about 3 centimeters long, 2.5 centimeters wide, and 2 centimeters high, and are seated symmetrically on each side of the third ventricle. The thalamus receives input from virtually all areas of cerebral cortex and primary sensory areas of the brain. It also receives non-sensory input from areas critical to motor control and emotion: the basal ganglia, the cerebellum, and the limbic system. There isn't much information coming into the brain that the thalamus doesn't hear about. Further, the thalamus projects widely back to the cerebral cortex and to subcortical structures in reciprocal loops. These highly extensive connections are why the thalamus is often referred to as the gateway of the cortex. Primarily, it acts as a relay station between incoming signals from the sense organs and subcortical areas to the cerebral cortex and back again. Functionally, the thalamus can best be described as an information hub. It allows for top-down regulation of processes involved in sleep, attention, and consciousness, and bottom-up transmission of information the cerebral cortex needs to guide those processes. In this bottom-up role, the thalamus is known to receive input from both our visual and auditory systems, as well as the spinal cord. In fact, every sensory system, with the sole exception of the olfactory system, sends its input to cortex through a specific thalamic nucleus, a group of cell bodies. You have already encountered two of these nuclei: the lateral geniculate nucleus, involved in processing visual inputs, and the medial geniculate nucleus, which processes auditory information. These nuclei take in basic sensory information and pass it along to associated primary areas of neocortex. In the visual system, input from the retina is sent to the lateral geniculate nucleus, and outputs go to V1, the primary visual area. And in the auditory system, the medial geniculate nucleus get information from low-level auditory integration centers in the midbrain and project to the primary auditory cortex. These multi-step processes highlight the thalamus's role as a crucial way station, passing signals between higher and lower areas of the brain. However, to just describe the thalamic nuclei as mere relay stations, passively passing along information, is a bit of a simplification. Recent research suggests that the thalamus does a fair bit of sensory processing itself. In addition to its role in the sensory system, the thalamus is also thought to be largely responsible for the regulation of states like arousal or an individual's level of awareness. The mechanisms of the thalamus's involvement in such processes is still poorly understood. However, it is clear that the thalamus is key to keeping the brain awake, aware, and alert. We know this from observing the devastating consequences of physical trauma or disease to the thalamus. Physical damage to the thalamus can lead to permanent coma, a state of total unawareness. In addition, a thalamic disease known as fatal familial insomnia, which involves insomnia that continues to worsen until the individual is unable to sleep at all. Fatal familial insomnia onsets during middle age and causes selective progressive degeneration of thalamic neurons. It's incredibly rare, but invariably it's lethal. Patients die after months of being completely unable to fall asleep. They develop hallucinations and delirium, but appear to be unable to turn off their state of conscious awareness.